Hey, check out our brand new sponsor, Dynamic Solutions 2. That's the number 2. They offer a life-changing, dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. 424-888-2820. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. You get a 10% discount.
Hey, you, podcast listener. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Jody Williams, who runs SexWorkersAnonymous.net. I would encourage people, too, to go back and find we did 2 previous shows where we get into all her information about Iran-Contra, be involved with sex trafficking and human trafficking there as well. And also, too, we even exposed a woman who's out there, Jessica Collins, who claims that she was she has some kind of wild claims about being involved with Jeffrey Epstein and stuff like that, who had come to both of us independently. And we pretty much compared notes and concluded that it was pretty much a hoax. So, Jody Williams, you also wanted to talk about now. You go way back with Jeannie Palfrey, the D.C. Madam, correct?
Yeah. One thing before I forget, when you were talking Shane Valentine, were you aware about the 2 murders in that case?
When I first heard about the case, I was in shock with this whole story. The judge's daughter and cops looking the other way in this illegal nightclub. I do recall there was a murder charge, but I didn't know how it turned out.
Yeah, evidently, the story that I understand it from the reporter that has been trying to get to the bottom of it is George Knapp was getting in so much heat over this that evidently bounced over to this guy, Doug Papa, so in Baltimore. So he's been following up on it, who's an ex-CIA analyst. So he's slick. He's actually been getting to the bottom of this, by building up a relationship with her. And he found out that there's a story that he did where he said that she had been trying to conceal that she was acting as an informant. And evidently, one of the Metro cops blurted out that he was getting his information from her, so that this pimp then ordered the hit on her and her daughter, but supposedly 2 other people got killed. It says Connie Land and daughter Sydney were both found murdered, shot in the head in their Las Vegas apartment on October 27th. So, I mean, there's something going on there, because even you would think that the cop who blurted out something that resulted in 2 people getting murdered might not necessarily be a good cop to keep on the force. He gets transferred over to homicide. So I called a consultant on our board, I know, who's an ex-cop, and said, what do you think about this? And he's like, it sounds like a cover story to me, because, somebody had done something, bungled something so badly, 2 people got murdered, they don't generally transfer them to homicide, It just, the whole thing, I mean, even why they called off the agent, Kevin White, because this is what disturbs me, is that there are people getting murdered behind this story, not just these 2. There are a lot of people getting murdered, and again, I'm still living in fear of my life because this whole thing is not being dealt with. And, when I saw that there was an FBI agent, Kevin White, coming in to investigate, I think, oh, good, maybe something's going to be done so I can sleep in peace at night, so I can, just simply go to the store without, worrying that I'm going to get shot in the head and some cop's going to claim something, I resisted arrest or something, or another false arrest where we found like Jeffrey Epstein, tying into Jeff Epstein as a case in point, because he's not the first person that has been found dead under suspicious circumstances at all, which is why I have a reasonable fear here that I might be, next. And then they call him off the case, and so I just wonder, what is it going to take so that a lot of people can sleep easy at night? Because there are a lot of murders that are going unchecked here, and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, look at the length that Jeff Epstein's brother had to go to. And what sort of got me angry is that if we'd done something about Jeannie Palfrey's death, maybe things might not have got that far. Because that's why I was telling you, like, why is nobody even noticing that this is connected to Jeannie Palfrey's murder? In my opinion, she was murdered, and the reason why she didn't have a rich brother that could go to, Michael Baden and get a second opinion, because when her mother started saying, well, wait a minute, this was, not right, she started getting threatened. And she asked me, please back off of this, because, of course, I started getting pretty upset and wanting to go to the press and rattle some cages. And she asked me to back down because she was being threatened over it. So, I had to sort of respectfully back down until her mother passed away about the whole situation. But no, Jeannie Palfrey was murdered for a lot of the same information and hiding a lot of the same things that, is possibly what went behind, Jeff Epstein's murder, and possibly even Brandy Britton and Sylvia Landry. I mean, there's a chain of people that are connected with this operation that I'm talking about, that the police are connected with it, because the police are just the watchdogs of this thing. There is a very large international sex trafficking operation of which the police are just sort of, I call them the guard dogs. And it's been going on since the 80s. I saw it when I was in the game. I'm still seeing it now, and it's still the same system. Different people, but the same system. And some of the old-timers, like Epstein and like Palfrey, this is where I'm, again, getting nervous as I keep seeing all of us old-timers. I think Dennis Hoff might have even been offed. He was not that sick and not that old. And when I see that his best friend, Anthony, that pilot, died a few weeks later under mysterious circumstances, it tends to make me think I'm right about his death being a little strange, too. So, I mean, there's just a lot of people that know a lot about this operation that just seem to be, coming up dead under really strange circumstances.
Well, let's stop for a second there. A couple of things. One is, you mentioned the CIA a couple of times. Now, just recently, this gentleman who was the boyfriend of Jessica Collins, he wrote a post on Facebook saying that he was at CIA headquarters. What was that about?
Probably is. Probably is. It's certainly their tactics to create disinformation, like this Jessica chick.
Right. And he's the one that's been posting around saying, defending her. Is this the same guy who she claims abducted her?
She claims abducted her, claims is her handler, claims pays her bills every month.
Right.
And it's been coming after me, but that's what the CIA has been doing for years, is trying to discredit me. So I mean, he probably is CIA.
So the story is, the official story is, she comes out and says she was abducted by this guy. She's still living with him, and he's paying her bills, and that now he comes out and saying, "Oh, I know the whole story is true. I'm her witness." The whole thing is crazy. So let's move on from that. What do you know about a connection between Epstein and Palfrey in real life? Let's get back to reality. What do you know about Epstein and Palfrey connection?
Well, if you understand why I think she was murdered, you'll start to see the connections.
Okay.
I mean, she had decided, and if you know her history, she had gotten arrested about 91. Because what happened was, after Heidi Fleiss went through her, court stuff, that's when Jeannie Palfrey sort of stepped to sort of take over the game, And she, does start targeting Washington because she wanted, the higher class clients. And and as she starts, about 91, she really kind of wanted to quit about 91. And what happened, she went into the antiquing business. And so what happens is she gets a guy who starts sort of like, recruiting her back in the business, sort of like befriending her. And this is how they approach you. They approach you as a client, then they become a friend. They don't say they're CIA at the beginning. They say they're your friend. And that's how they do. Again, sort of this sweetheart deal. Mm-hmm. So this guy comes in, befriends her, starts, saying, expand here. Why don't you try advertising there, and reminding her about her sick mother. And, kind of, pitching her just and getting to know her and befriending her and just for a little while. And then starts revealing slowly, that he's connected with the government, and basically telling her, hey, for a little bit extra money, I'd like some information on the clients, and why not, pick up some, it's harmless. We're just revealing a little bedroom information for some money, not a big deal. And so, starts this sort of debriefing cycle with her that she starts noticing. After a couple of years, she gets pretty set. She's got enough money in the bank to retire, and she decides that, she wants out. So she starts looking for property in Germany, and because she realizes she's not going to be able to live here in the States because of what she knows. So that's when they start getting nervous because of what they want her to do. Now, this is when they again start escalating her into not just getting information, but actually wanting her to do specific assignments and having the women manipulating the clients essentially for deals that they've got going on, as well as targeting specific customers, essentially using her escorts as operatives. I guess, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
So she's being basically used as an arm of the CIA. And she's getting very nervous, and then the final straw for her came when Brandy Britton got murdered. One of her women, she got busted on some deal, and before she could shoot her mouth off, another one found hung in her living room. That's when she's like, I got to get out of here, because people are obviously nervous what she's going to say about what she knows. So she was literally at the airport. This is not broadcast a lot, but you can find it when you dig deep enough, because she says that she was actually trying to quit the business and leave the country and get the hell out of here. And she was at the airport, when they arrested her. And it was really one of those last-minute things where it was basically, again, fear of what she was going to say. Her arrest was trying to get her to shut up. So when they realized she wasn't going to shut up, they disbarred her lawyer. They seized her assets. I mean, they're basically just trying to get her to go back into her position.
Man, ultimately, her lawyer was disbarred. Her lawyer was ultimately disbarred.
Again, they figured if they got rid of her lawyer that they'd, scare her into going back into her corner and doing what she's supposed to be doing. Now, where I got under their radar, their shit list, is, they become aware that I'm friends with her and I'm talking to her every day, and I warned her that they were going to come after her mother because, they didn't have a case. This was being manufactured same way as me to put pressure. So I warned her that they were going to do to her what they did to me, which was go after her mother and try to, use her mother to threaten her into compliance. So what happened was, because of my warning, they had a lawyer literally with her mother when evidently they came up the driveway. And